I always believed trust was the strongest thing a person could build. Money could disappear, jobs could change, dreams could fail, but trust stayed. At least, that was what I believed before everything fell apart. "You're working too hard again," Ryan said as he dropped into the chair across from my desk. I laughed. "Somebody has to keep this company running." He grinned. "That's exactly why you're going to be rich one day." "I don't need to be rich." "What do you need then?" I leaned back and smiled. "A quiet life, good friends, maybe a family." Ryan pointed at me. "See? That's why I like you. You never make life complicated." "I try not to." He stood and slapped my shoulder. "Come on, Olivia's making dinner tonight." Again, she said if I showed up alone, she'd throw me out. I laughed. "Fine, let's go." Ryan Brooks had been my best friend since high school. We had survived failed exams, broken cars, cheap apartments, and terrible jobs together. If someone had asked me who I trusted most, I would have answered Ryan without thinking. When we arrived at his house, Olivia opened the door with a warm smile. "You two are late." Ryan raised both hands. "Blame Ethan." I frowned. "Why me?" "Because you're always checking one last email." Olivia laughed softly. "Both of you, stop arguing and come inside." The smell of fresh pasta filled the room. "You cooked all this?" I asked. "I wanted to try something new." "It smells amazing." She smiled. "You always say that." "Because it's always true." Ryan pulled out a chair. "Sit down before she changes her mind." Dinner felt easy. Ryan joked about work. Olivia teased him for talking too much. I laughed more than I'd all week. After we finished eating, Olivia carried the empty plates toward the kitchen. "I'll help," I said. "You don't have to." "I know." She smiled as I followed her. While we washed the dishes, she looked at me. "You really enjoy helping people, don't you?" "I guess I do. Even when nobody notices?" "I don't help because people notice." She nodded slowly. "I like that about you." Her words stayed in my mind longer than they should have. A few days later, my phone rang. "Ethan," Grace said, "are you free tonight?" "For you?" "Always." "Come over." I made dinner. I smiled. "Everybody wants to feed me this week." She laughed. "Maybe because you forget to eat." That evening I sat across from my older sister. She watched me quietly. "What?" I asked. "You've been spending a lot of time with Ryan." "He's my best friend." "I know. And Olivia." I looked up. "What about Olivia?" Grace folded her arms. "I think she's getting close to you." "We're just friends." "Are you sure?" I hesitated. "I don't know." She studied my face before speaking again. "Ethan, promise me something." "What?" "Don't trust people just because they smile." I laughed. "That's a strange lesson." "I'm serious." "I know Ryan. I'm not talking about only Ryan." I shook my head. "Grace, you've always worried too much. And you've always trusted too easily." I reached across the table. "I appreciate that you're looking out for me." She sighed. "I hope I'm wrong." "You are. You sound very confident." "I am." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Just be careful." "I will." When I left her apartment, I kept thinking about our conversation. Why had she sounded so concerned? The next afternoon, Olivia called me. "Are you busy?" "Not really. Can we meet for coffee?" "Of course." She laughed. "I was hoping you'd say yes." As I hung up, I smiled without realizing it. For the first time in years, my future felt brighter than ever. I believed I had everything I needed: a career I loved, a best friend I trusted like a brother, and a woman who made every ordinary day feel a little more special. I had no idea that my greatest happiness was quietly becoming the beginning of my biggest mistake. The next morning, I met Olivia at a small coffee shop near my office. She waved as soon as I walked in. "Over here." I smiled and sat across from her. "You sounded excited on the phone." I was. "What happened?" She wrapped both hands around her cup. "Ryan finally told me about his business idea." "Oh, he said you've been helping him plan it." I nodded. "We've talked about it for months. I think it's wonderful." "You do?" "Of course. You and Ryan make a great team." I laughed. "He's the dreamer. I'm the planner. That's exactly why it can work." Her confidence made me feel proud. "So," she asked, "would you really leave your job?" "If the business is ready, yes." "That's a big risk." "I trust Ryan." She smiled gently. "I know you do." A few evenings later, Ryan invited me to his apartment. As soon as I walked in, he spread several papers across the dining table. There he is. What is all this? Our future. I picked up one page. Business plans and investment agreements. I looked through them. You've been busy. Ryan grinned. I finally found an investor. Already, he likes our idea. That's amazing. Olivia walked into the room carrying 3 glasses of juice. I knew you'd be celebrating. Ryan laughed. We're one step closer. She handed me a glass. I'm proud of you. I smiled. Thanks. Ryan leaned forward. Ethan, I need one more thing. What? I want us to invest equally. I stayed quiet. Everything I've saved? I asked. He nodded. If we both believe in this company, we should both take the same risk. Olivia looked at me. I know it's a lot. It is. But you've always believed in building something meaningful. I looked back at Ryan. You really think we can make this work? I know we can. I laughed softly. You always sound so sure. Because I know you. He pointed toward me. You never quit. I rubbed my chin. I'll need to think. Fair enough. Ryan smiled. But don't think too long. Over the next week, we met almost every evening. We talked about software, customers, office space, and future employees. Every conversation made the dream feel more real. One afternoon, Grace called me again. Have you made a decision? I'm close. I wish you'd slow down. I've checked the business plan. Did you check everything? I trust Ryan. She became quiet. Ethan, what? Trust isn't proof. I sighed. You still don't like this. I don't like how fast everything is happening. Sometimes opportunities move quickly, and sometimes traps do. Her words bothered me, but I pushed them aside. The following Friday, Ryan called. The lawyer is ready. Already. Come after work. I'll be there. When I arrived, Ryan shook my hand with a huge smile. This is it. Olivia stood beside him. You've worked so hard for this. Ryan slid the agreement toward me. Our company starts today. I glanced at the first page. There are a lot of documents. The lawyer already explained everything. Ryan laughed. You know, legal language gives me a headache. Olivia smiled. I read every page. You did? Yes. And everything looks fine. I looked at both of them. They looked excited. Happy. Certain. Ryan placed a pen in my hand. So, partner, I smiled. I guess this is the beginning. It is, he said. I signed the first page. Then the second. Then another. Ryan shook my hand. Congratulations. Olivia hugged me. I'm so happy for us. I smiled as I gathered my copy of the papers. Walking out of that office, I believed I had just secured my future with the 2 people I trusted most. I never imagined that my signature had quietly handed them complete control over everything I'd spent years building, and I walked away feeling victorious while the trap closed behind me without making a single sound. 3 weeks passed after I signed the partnership papers, and at first everything seemed normal. Ryan kept telling me we were making progress, and Olivia still sent me cheerful messages every morning. I believed we were building the future we had dreamed about together. Then small things began changing, one after another. I called Ryan on Monday. Hey, did the meeting with the Wilson account go well? There was a pause. Yeah, it was fine. Why didn't you ask me to come? They only wanted to discuss marketing. I've always handled that client. I know, but it was easier this way. His answer felt strange. Are you sure everything's okay? Relax, Ethan. You're worrying too much. The call ended before I could ask another question. Later that afternoon, I logged into the company system. Access denied. I frowned and tried again. The same message appeared. I called Ryan immediately. My account isn't working. Oh, what do you mean, oh? The system is being updated. So why can everyone else log in? You asked everyone? I called Kevin. Ryan laughed. Kevin worries too much. So do I. I'll fix it tomorrow. He hung up again. I stared at my phone. Something didn't feel right. The next evening I met Olivia for dinner. She smiled when I arrived, but it looked forced. You seem tired, I said. I've just been busy. Ryan says the business is doing well. It is. Then why haven't I seen any reports? She looked down at her plate. Ryan is handling those. He never handled everything before. He probably wants to surprise you. I forced a smile. Maybe. She reached across the table and touched my hand. You trust Ryan, don't you? Of course. Then don't overthink everything. I nodded, but my chest felt heavy. As we left the restaurant, I asked quietly, "Are we okay?" She looked surprised. "What do you mean? You've been distant." "I've just been stressed. You haven't called me in days." "I've been working. I miss talking to you." She smiled politely. "We'll have more time soon." It wasn't the answer I wanted. A few days later, my phone stayed silent. Clients who usually called me every morning suddenly disappeared. I dialed one of them. "Mr. Harris, did I miss your message?" His voice sounded confused. "I thought you left the company." "What?" "Ryan told us he would be handling everything now." I stood frozen. "I never left." "Oh." He became quiet. I should go." The line disconnected. I called Ryan again. "You told clients I left?" "I didn't say that. Mr. Harris thinks I don't work there anymore." He misunderstood. "Then call him." "I will." "When?" "Soon." I closed my eyes. "Ryan, what's happening?" "Nothing." "It doesn't feel like nothing. You've always been emotional." I clenched my jaw. "I'm asking simple questions. And I'm giving simple answers." The call ended. That night, I drove to the office without telling anyone. The lights were still on. I walked toward the entrance and reached for my security card. The scanner flashed red. "Access denied." I tried again. Nothing. A security guard stepped outside. "Can I help you?" "My card isn't working." He checked his tablet. "I'm sorry, sir." "What?" "Your access was removed last week." I felt my stomach tighten. "Removed by who?" "I don't know. I'm one of the owners." He looked uncomfortable. "I only follow the system." I stepped back slowly. The building I had helped create suddenly felt like it no longer belonged to me. I stood there for several minutes, staring at the glass doors. Inside, people walked through the hallways carrying laptops and coffee, completely unaware that I could no longer enter. For the first time since signing those papers, fear replaced confidence. Every strange conversation, every missed phone call, every forced smile, and every unanswered question came rushing back into my mind at once. I wanted to believe there was a reasonable explanation. I wanted to believe Ryan was still my brother in everything except blood. I wanted to believe Olivia still cared about me. Instead, I drove home with a feeling I could not explain, unaware that the truth waiting for me was far worse than every fear growing inside my heart. I barely slept that night. Every answer Ryan had given me sounded empty, and every smile Olivia had shown me suddenly felt rehearsed. By the next evening, I decided I needed the truth instead of more excuses. I called Ryan. "Can we meet? I'm busy. It won't take long." Another day. "I've been hearing strange things." He sighed. "Ethan, stop worrying." "I'm trying." "Good. Keep trying." He ended the call. An hour later, I remembered Ryan had mentioned meeting an investor at a private restaurant downtown. I didn't plan to spy on him. I only wanted 5 honest minutes. When I arrived, I saw Ryan's car outside. So he wasn't too busy after all. I whispered. I walked toward the entrance, but before stepping inside, I heard familiar laughter coming from a private dining room. The door wasn't completely closed. Ryan laughed loudly. I still can't believe how easy that was. Olivia answered with a quiet laugh. Ethan never questioned anything. My feet stopped moving. Ryan spoke again. "I told you he would sign every page." "I know. He trusted me more than anyone. And he trusted me because he loved me." Both of them laughed. I felt my hands begin to shake. Ryan lowered his voice. "Honestly, he was never my friend." Olivia replied without hesitation. "He was useful." Ryan chuckled. "Exactly." My chest tightened. I needed someone with money and experience. And I needed someone easy to control. I couldn't breathe. Ryan continued. "If Ethan had read those contracts, everything would have fallen apart." Olivia laughed again. "But he never reads legal papers. He believes people instead." What a mistake. I pressed my back against the wall, hoping they couldn't hear my breathing. Ryan raised his glass. "To our company." "Our company," Olivia repeated. "And without Ethan." She clinked her glass against his. I stepped into the room before I could stop myself. Ryan's smile disappeared. "Ethan." Olivia's face turned pale. "How long have you been standing there?" "Long enough." Silence filled the room. I looked directly at Olivia. "Did you ever love me?" She looked away. Answer me." Her eyes finally met mine. "No." The single word cut deeper than any scream. So every dinner, she stayed silent. Every conversation, nothing. Every promise. Ryan leaned back in his chair. Stop making this dramatic. I turned toward him. You used me. I made a business decision. You call me your brother. I called you whatever you needed to hear. I stared at him. 15 years. He shrugged. People change. I laughed bitterly. No, liars get comfortable. Olivia stood. Ethan, shouting won't change anything. I'm not shouting. No, you stole everything from me. Ryan folded his arms. You gave it to us. I trusted you. That wasn't my fault. I felt anger rising inside me. You planned this from the beginning. Ryan smiled without guilt. You were always predictable. Olivia crossed her arms. You wanted a future with me. Yes, I wanted security. You lied every single day. I did what I had to do. I looked between them. So that's all I was? Ryan answered first. A stepping stone. Olivia nodded slowly. I'm sorry you found out this way. I laughed through the pain. You're sorry I found out. She said nothing. Ryan stood and walked toward the door. The company belongs to us now. It belongs to all three of us. Not anymore. What does that mean? It means you don't work there. I built that company. You helped. I invested everything. And signed everything. His words hit me harder than a punch. I realized he wasn't afraid because he believed the paperwork protected him. I looked at both of them one last time. I hope one day you understand what you've done. Ryan opened the door. I think you should leave. Olivia didn't stop him. She didn't stop me either. I walked out without another word. Each step felt heavier than the last, but somewhere beneath the heartbreak, another feeling quietly began to grow. Anger wanted me to fight immediately, to destroy everything in front of me, but I knew blind rage would only finish what their betrayal had started. If I wanted justice, I could not think like the man who had trusted them. I had to become someone they would never expect. For 3 days, I barely left my apartment. I ignored phone calls, skipped meals, and spent hours staring at the signed contracts lying on my coffee table. Every page reminded me how easily I had been fooled. My phone rang again. Are you finally going to answer? Grace asked. I don't feel like talking. Too bad. I'm outside. I frowned. What? Open the door. I slowly walked over and let her in. She looked around the apartment and sighed. You haven't cleaned. I know. You haven't eaten. I'm not hungry. She placed 2 grocery bags on the counter. You don't get to quit living because 2 selfish people betrayed you. I looked away. They took everything. She stepped closer. No. I laughed bitterly. They took my savings. They took your money. They took my company. They stole your work. They took Olivia. Grace shook her head. No, Ethan. They exposed themselves. That's different. I stayed silent. She placed a hand on my shoulder. Look at me. I slowly raised my head. You survived. It doesn't feel like surviving. It never does at first. I rubbed my face. I keep replaying everything. I know. I should have listened to you. You can't change yesterday. I trusted them. You trusted because you're honest. I was stupid. No. I signed every paper. You believed the people you loved. I sat down. So what now? Grace smiled. Now you stop crying over people who aren't crying over you. I looked at her. You make it sound easy. It isn't. Then why are you smiling? Because I know my brother. You don't know this version of me. I know the man who refuses to stay down forever. She reached into her purse and handed me a business card. Mia Collins. Who's that? The best contract lawyer I know. I don't have money for lawyers. She's a friend. I don't want pity. It's not pity. What is it? It's a chance. The next afternoon, I sat across from Mia Collins inside her office. She looked calm, confident, and completely focused. She opened the folder. These are the contracts you signed? Yes. Did you read them? I sighed. Not carefully. She nodded. At least you're honest. Does honesty help? Sometimes. She flipped through several pages. Did anyone rush you? Ryan said everything had already been reviewed. And Olivia? She said she read every page. Mia looked at me. So you trusted both of them? I did. She continued reading. The room stayed quiet for nearly 15 minutes. Finally, she stopped. My heart sank. What? She pointed at one paragraph. Did you see this? I leaned forward. No. This section gives operational control to Ryan. What? She turned another page. And this amendment transfers voting authority. I never agreed to that. You signed it. I never saw it. She looked thoughtful. Interesting. What? The font changes here. I frowned. So, the formatting is inconsistent. Does that matter? It can. She compared 2 pages side by side. These pages weren't prepared at the same time. You mean? I think changes were inserted. I stared at her. After I signed? I can't prove that yet. But you suspect it. Yes. Hope flickered inside me for the first time. So, I'm not completely trapped? She closed the folder. I didn't say that. My shoulders dropped again. But I also didn't say you've lost. I leaned back slowly. What should I do? Don't contact Ryan. I wasn't planning to. Don't threaten anyone. I won't. And don't let anger make decisions. I nodded. That's harder than it sounds. She smiled slightly. Good cases are built with patience, not shouting. As I left her office, I realized something had changed inside me. I was still heartbroken, still angry, and still carrying the weight of betrayal. But for the first time since everything collapsed, I had something stronger than rage. I had a reason to believe the truth had not disappeared forever, and that small hope was enough to make me keep walking instead of giving up. The morning after meeting Mia, I woke before sunrise for the first time in weeks. I still felt the pain sitting inside my chest, but it no longer controlled every thought. Mia had given me something Ryan and Olivia never expected me to have again. Hope. My phone rang. Good morning, Grace said. You're calling early. I wanted to hear your voice. I'm still here. I knew you would be. I smiled faintly. Thanks. So, how did the meeting go? Mia found problems in the contracts. Grace became quiet. I knew something wasn't right. She thinks some pages were changed. Can she prove it? Not yet. Then give her time. I will. That's my brother. After we ended the call, another number appeared on my phone. Mr. Ethan Carter? A deep voice asked. Speaking. My name is Daniel Hayes. I don't think we've met. We haven't. How did you get my number? A former client recommended you. I frowned. Recommended me? He said you're the only developer who refused to overcharge him. I laughed softly. I just charged a fair price. Exactly. There was a short pause. I'd like to meet you. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not offering sympathy. What are you offering? A job. That afternoon, I met Daniel inside his office. He shook my hand firmly. I've heard good things. I've had a difficult month. I know. You know what happened? I know enough. I looked down. Most people only see failure. Daniel smiled. I see survival. I looked back at him. That's different. It is. He leaned forward. Tell me something. What? If someone steals your house, do you stop knowing how to build? I thought for a moment. No. If someone lies to you, do you suddenly become dishonest? No. So why are you acting like they stole your value? His words hit me harder than I expected. I don't know. They stole money. Yes. They stole a company. Yes. They didn't steal your skills. I stayed quiet. They didn't steal your reputation. No. They didn't steal your future. For the first time in days, I believed him. Daniel smiled. I don't hire victims. What do you hire? People willing to stand up again. I nodded slowly. When do I start? He laughed. Tomorrow. Over the next several weeks, I worked harder than ever. Daniel treated me with respect instead of pity. Every evening, I organized old emails, invoices, contracts, and messages connected to Ryan and Olivia. I copied everything into secure folders. Whenever anger returned, I remembered Mia's words. Good cases are built with patience. One afternoon, she called me. I found another issue. What is it? A company called Stone Capital transferred money into your business. I've never heard of them. You should. Why? They funded Ryan's expansion. So, they're owned by Victor Stone. Who is he? A businessman with a very interesting history. What kind of history? The kind journalists like. The next day, Mia introduced me to Emma Reed. She smiled and offered her hand. I've been investigating Victor Stone for months. You think he's involved? I don't think. You know, I have strong evidence. I looked at both women. So Ryan wasn't acting alone. Emma nodded. No, they had help. I took a slow breath. Everything finally started making sense. This had never been a simple betrayal between friends. Someone bigger had been standing behind them from the beginning. I closed my notebook and looked at Mia. What do we do now? She smiled confidently. We keep collecting facts. Emma nodded. And when the time is right, we make the truth impossible to ignore. I smiled for the first time since losing everything. I no longer wanted revenge driven by pain or anger. I wanted justice built on evidence, patience, and truth. Ryan, Olivia, and the people hiding behind them believed they had already won because they had taken everything I owned. They never realized they had also given me the one advantage they could never predict. I had nothing left to lose, and that made me patient enough to wait until the truth destroyed every lie they had built together. 6 months changed my life more than the previous 6 years ever had. I no longer woke up thinking about Ryan or Olivia every morning. My work with Daniel kept me busy, and every project reminded me that my skills had never belonged to the people who betrayed me. One afternoon, Daniel walked into my office. Ethan, I looked up. Need something? I need your opinion. On what? He handed me a proposal. This client wants to expand into 3 cities. I read through the numbers. They're moving too fast. Daniel smiled. Why? They're borrowing more than they can repay. What would you do? I grossed slowly. He nodded. Exactly. I looked at him. You already knew that. I wanted to hear you say it. I laughed. You test me too much. I prepare you. For what? For the day you stop working for me. I frowned. You want me to leave? I want you to become impossible to replace. His words stayed with me long after he left. That evening, Mia called. I have news. Good or bad? Interesting. I'll take interesting. Government investigators have contacted Victor Stone's company. I sat upright. Already, they're reviewing financial records. What started it? Missing funds. And Ryan? Not yet. I smiled slightly. But soon, if the evidence keeps growing. The next morning, Emma invited me to her office. She spread several printed documents across her desk. Look at these. I scanned the pages. Transfer records? Yes. They connect Victor's company to Ryan's business. I pointed at one payment. This date. What about it? That's the week I lost access to everything. Emma nodded. I noticed the same timeline. So they were already moving money. Exactly. I leaned back. This wasn't just betrayal. No, it was planned. For a long time. My phone suddenly vibrated. The screen showed one name. Ryan. Emma noticed my expression. Is that him? I nodded. Answer it. I pressed the speaker button. Hello. Ethan. What do you want? Ryan sounded unusually calm. I've been thinking. That's new. He ignored my comment. We should talk. About what? Everything. I don't think there's anything left. There is. What? Our friendship. I laughed once. You destroyed that. I made mistakes. Mistakes. I wasn't myself. You seemed very confident the night you celebrated. Silence filled the call. Finally, he spoke. I know you're angry. I'm not angry anymore. Then meet me. Why? So we can fix this. You can't fix betrayal. Ethan. No. He sighed. I miss my friend. You miss having someone you could use. The line became quiet again. Before hanging up, Ryan said softly, You've changed. I answered without hesitation. No. I finally opened my eyes. I ended the call. Emma looked at me. How do you feel? I expected to feel satisfied. And I just feel tired. She nodded. That's normal. Later that evening, I sat alone in my apartment. Ryan's words echoed inside my mind. I miss my friend. For one brief moment, I remembered the years when we truly laughed together, fixed old cars together, and dreamed about building successful lives together. I closed my eyes. Could someone regret something that deeply? Or was this simply another lie? Before I could answer myself, my phone buzzed again. This time the screen showed a different name. Olivia. I stared at it for several seconds before finally answering. Hello. Her voice was quiet. Ethan, please don't hang up. The sound of her voice brought back every memory I'd spent months trying to bury. Part of me wanted answers. Another part wanted silence. As I listened to her unsteady breathing, I realized the people who once believed they controlled every move I made were no longer speaking with confidence. For the first time since they betrayed me, fear had quietly entered their voices, and I knew something inside their perfect world had finally begun to break. I held the phone without saying anything. Olivia spoke first. "Ethan, thank you for answering. What do you want? I need to talk to you. You had plenty of chances before." "I know. So why now?" She hesitated. "I made mistakes." I closed my eyes. Mistakes don't last for months. I was under pressure. From who? I can't explain everything over the phone. Try. She sighed. Victor controlled more than you realize. And that excuses what you did. No. Then why mention it? Because I want you to understand. I already understand. What do you understand? You lied to me. Silence followed. Then she whispered, "I'm sorry." I answered calmly. "I believe you're sorry." "You do?" "Yes." Hope entered her voice. "Then can we meet?" "No. Please. I don't need another conversation built on lies. This time I'm telling the truth." I took a slow breath. "If you're finally telling the truth, then tell it to the investigators." She stopped speaking. A few seconds later, the call ended. I placed the phone on the table. Instead of feeling victorious, I felt strangely empty. The next morning, Mia called. "I just received another update." "What happened?" "Government investigators searched Victor Stone's headquarters." "Did they find anything?" "They seized financial records." I smiled slightly. "That's faster than I expected." "They also requested documents from Ryan's company." "So it's starting." "It's already started." That afternoon, Daniel invited me into his office. "You look different." "In a good way." "You look peaceful." I think I finally stopped chasing revenge. Daniel folded his hands. "And what are you chasing now?" "The truth." He smiled. "Good. I used to dream about making Ryan suffer. And now, I want the facts to speak louder than my anger." Daniel nodded with approval. "That mindset will protect you." My phone buzzed again. Emma had sent a message. "Turn on the news." Daniel picked up the remote. A reporter stood outside Victor Stone's headquarters. "The Financial Crimes Division has confirmed an ongoing investigation into suspected fraud, forged financial reports, and illegal fund transfers connected to several partner companies." Daniel muted the television. "This won't stay hidden much longer." I nodded. "I know." Later that evening, Emma met me at a quiet cafe. She placed another folder in front of me. More evidence. I opened it carefully. Emails and internal accounting records. I looked up. "How did you get these?" "A confidential source." I slowly turned another page. Then I froze. "This signature." Emma nodded. "Ryan approved those transfers." "And Olivia?" "She signed several financial authorizations." I looked at both signatures. For months, I had wondered whether they were trapped by someone stronger. Now the documents answer my question. They had made their own choices. Emma watched my expression. "Does it hurt?" "Yes. Even now. I love people who never loved me." She remained quiet. After a long pause, I closed the folder. I won't interfere. Emma tilted her head. "What do you mean?" "If they call again, I won't warn them." "You've decided." "Yes. I forgive them for my own peace. But I won't protect them from justice." Emma smiled. "There's a difference." I finally understand that. As I walked home beneath the evening sky, I realized forgiveness had never meant pretending the betrayal never happened. It simply meant refusing to let hatred control the rest of my life. Ryan and Olivia still had every opportunity to tell the truth, accept responsibility, and face the consequences honestly. Whether they chose courage or cowardice no longer belonged to me. My responsibility was to keep moving forward while the evidence continued speaking for itself. Their empire had not collapsed in one dramatic moment. It was breaking exactly the way it had been built, one lie at a time, until nothing remained except the truth they had spent so long trying to hide. The morning of the hearing, I stood outside the courthouse holding a cup of coffee that had already gone cold. My hands were steady, but my heart carried the weight of every choice that had brought me there. Grace walked beside me. "You ready?" "I don't know. You don't have to feel fearless. I just don't want anger to speak for me." She smiled. "It won't." Daniel joined us a moment later. "You slept." "A little." "That's enough." Mia walked toward us carrying 2 thick folders. "Good. Everyone's here." I looked at the folders. "Everything we need?" She nodded. "And more." Emma arrived with a camera crew waiting outside the building. You'll probably see reporters all day. I never wanted attention. You aren't here for attention. I know. You're here for the truth. I took a deep breath. Let's finish this. Inside the courtroom, I sat quietly while people filled the seats behind me. Reporters whispered to one another. Lawyers arranged documents across their tables. When Judge William Foster entered, everyone stood. You may be seated. The room became silent. The prosecutor began. Your Honor, this case involves financial fraud, contract manipulation, forged records, and illegal transfers connected to Victor Stone and several business partners. Judge Foster nodded. Proceed. Victor sat several seats away without looking at me. Ryan stared at the table. Olivia kept her eyes lowered. The prosecutor called Emma first. She walked to the witness stand. Please state your name. Emma Reed. What is your profession? I'm an investigative journalist. What led you to this investigation? I received financial records linking Victor Stone's company to suspicious transfers. Were those records verified? Yes. She explained how months of research uncovered hidden payments, altered reports, and connections between several businesses. Victor's attorney stood. Ms. Reed, are you claiming journalism replaces police work? No. Then, these are only opinions. She remained calm. My reports included verified bank records, emails, and public filings. No further questions. Emma stepped down. The prosecutor looked toward Mia. Please take the stand. Mia adjusted the microphone. State your occupation. I'm a contract attorney. Did you review agreements involving Ethan Carter? I did. What did you discover? Several pages showed inconsistent formatting and unauthorized amendments. She displayed in large copies on a screen. I watched the jury study every page. The prosecutor pointed toward one paragraph. What changed? Control of the company shifted entirely to Ryan Brooks. Did Mr. Carter knowingly approve that change? No evidence suggests he did. Ryan's lawyer stood immediately. Objection. Judge Foster looked forward. On what grounds? Speculation. Mia answered before sitting. My conclusion is based on document analysis. Judge Foster nodded. Objection overruled. Mia continued explaining signatures, timestamps, editing histories, and financial records. Every answer sounded calm. Every document spoke louder than emotion. When she finished, Ryan finally took the stand. The prosecutor asked, Did Mr. Carter willingly surrender control? Ryan cleared his throat. Yes. Did you discuss every amendment with him? I believed he understood them. Believed he signed them. The prosecutor held up another document. Who approved these transfers from Victor Stone's company? Ryan hesitated. Victor handled most financial decisions. So you're blaming Mr. Stone? I'm saying he managed those accounts. Victor suddenly leaned forward. That's a lie. Ryan looked shocked. You told me to sign them. I told you nothing. Judge Foster struck his gavel. Order. The room fell quiet again. For the first time since everything began, I watched fear replace confidence on Ryan's face. He no longer looked like the man who had laughed about using me. He looked like someone searching desperately for a way to escape the truth. As I waited for my own name to be called, I realized this trial was no longer about recovering money or repairing my broken past. It was about allowing facts to speak louder than every lie that had stolen my future. No matter what happened next, I knew I would answer every question honestly, because honesty had already become the strongest part of the man I had fought so hard to become. The prosecutor looked toward me. Mr. Ethan Carter, please take the stand. I walked forward, raised my right hand, and took the oath. When I sat down, I looked at the judge instead of Ryan or Olivia. The prosecutor spoke gently. Mr. Carter, how long had you known Ryan Brooks? Almost 15 years. Did you trust him? Completely. And Olivia Brooks? I trusted her too. What made you sign the partnership documents? I believed my best friend and the woman I loved would never deceive me. Were you forced to sign? No. Then why do you believe fraud occurred? Because I trusted people instead of legal language, and someone used that trust to hide changes I never agreed to. The prosecutor nodded. What happened after you signed? I lost access to company accounts, clients stopped calling me, and I was removed from the business without warning. How did you learn the truth? I overheard Ryan and Olivia celebrating. They admitted they had used me. The courtroom became silent. Ryan's attorney stood. Mr. Carter, isn't it true you simply failed to read the contracts? Yes. So your own carelessness caused this situation. I took a slow breath. My mistake allowed the fraud to succeed. It did not justify the fraud. He paused. You have no hatred toward the defendants? I won't lie. They hurt me deeply. Then why aren't you angry today? Because anger cannot change facts. He frowned. So what do you want? I want the truth to matter. No further questions. I stepped down and returned to my seat. Next, Olivia walked to the witness stand. The prosecutor asked, "Did you tell Mr. Carter you loved him?" She lowered her eyes. Yes. Did you mean it? A long silence filled the courtroom. Finally, she whispered, "No." The prosecutor continued. "Why did you stay close to him?" "I thought helping Ryan would secure our future." "So you knowingly deceived him." Tears formed in her eyes. "Yes." Ryan suddenly stood. "This isn't fair." Judge Foster looked directly at him. "Sit down, Mr. Brooks." Ryan obeyed. Victor's attorney tried shifting responsibility again, but bank records, emails, and digital signatures matched perfectly. Every explanation collapsed onto the evidence. The prosecutor looked toward Victor. "Did you authorize these transfers?" Victor answered firmly. "I refuse to respond." Judge Foster nodded slowly. "Your refusal has been noted." After several hours, closing arguments ended. Judge Foster removed his glasses and looked across the courtroom. The evidence presented shows deliberate contract manipulation, fraudulent financial reporting, unlawful fund transfers, and intentional deception. Nobody spoke. He continued. Victor Stone is remanded into custody pending sentencing. Officers immediately approached Victor. He protested. "This is ridiculous." The officers placed him in handcuffs. Judge Foster looked toward Ryan. "Ryan Brooks is found liable for financial fraud, conspiracy, and contract manipulation." Ryan closed his eyes. Finally, the judge faced Olivia. Olivia Brooks knowingly participated in the deception and financial misconduct presented before this court. She quietly began crying. "I made terrible choices." Judge Foster answered calmly. "Regret does not erase responsibility." His gavel struck the bench. "This court is adjourned." People slowly stood. Reporters rushed outside. Emma smiled at me. "You did it." I shook my head. "No." "What do you mean?" "I didn't defeat them." She looked confused. "The truth did." As I walked out of the courthouse, sunlight filled the steps outside. Months earlier, I believed my life ended the moment Ryan and Olivia betrayed me. Standing there, I finally understood something far more important. They had destroyed my trust, stolen my work, and broken my heart, but they had never taken my honesty. That honesty carried me through every dark day until the truth finally reached the light. Their downfall did not happen because I chased revenge. It happened because every lie eventually demanded a price, and sooner or later, someone always had to pay it. 6 months after the trial, I unlocked my office door every morning with a sense of peace I had never known before. The memories of betrayal still existed, but they no longer control my life. Instead of waking up with anger, I woke up with purpose. One morning, Daniel knocked on my office door. "Busy. Never too busy for you." He smiled and sat across from me. "I've been watching your work. I hope that's a good thing." "It is." He placed a folder on my desk. "Open it." I looked through the papers. I frowned. "Executive partnership?" Daniel nodded. "I want you beside me, not below me." I looked at him in surprise. "You're serious?" "I've never been more serious." "I don't know what to say." "Say yes." I laughed. "You make difficult decisions sound easy. They become easy when you've earned them." I slowly closed the folder. "I accept." Daniel stood and offered his hand. "Congratulations, partner." I shook it firmly. "Thank you for believing in me." He smiled. "I believed in your character before I believed in your talent." Those words meant more than the partnership itself. That evening, I visited Grace. She opened the door with her usual smile. "I was waiting." "You already knew." Daniel called me. I laughed. He ruined the surprise. He wanted me to celebrate first. She hugged me tightly. "I'm proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you." She stepped back and looked at me carefully. "Do you know what I see?" What? The brother I always believed you could become. I smiled. You believed in me when I didn't. That's what family is supposed to do. We spent hours talking about everything except the past. For the first time in a long while, neither of us mentioned Ryan or Olivia. It felt strangely freeing. The following week, Emma invited me to lunch. As soon as I sat down, she handed me a magazine. Turn to page 12. I opened it. There was a large photograph of me standing outside the courthouse. Below it was the headline, "Choosing Truth Over Revenge." I looked up. You wrote this. She nodded. I wanted people to understand your story. I didn't want sympathy. You didn't get sympathy. What did I get? Respect. I quietly read several paragraphs. Emma smiled. Well, you left out the ugly parts. I left out the parts that didn't define you. I closed the magazine. Thank you. She leaned back. Has life finally become peaceful? I think so. Before she could answer, I noticed someone walking slowly past the cafe window. My heart skipped for a second. Olivia. She stopped after seeing me. Emma noticed my expression. Do you know her? I nodded. I'll give you privacy. She stood and quietly walked away. A moment later, Olivia stepped inside. She looked completely different. Her confidence had disappeared. Dark circles surrounded her eyes. She stopped beside my table. Ethan, I looked at the empty chair. You can sit. Thank you. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally, she whispered. I almost didn't come. Almost walked away. She lowered her eyes. I deserve that. I remained silent. She took a shaky breath. I've replayed every choice I made. And I hate the person I became. I watched tears gather in her eyes. I thought money would fix everything. It didn't. No. She looked directly at me. It destroyed everything. For the first time since the day she betrayed me, I didn't see the woman who had manipulated me. I saw someone finally forced to face the weight of every selfish decision she had made. Whether her regret had come too late was no longer the question that mattered. The real question was whether I still needed answers from someone whose choices no longer had the power to shape my future. Olivia wiped her tears and looked at me. I know you probably hate me. I shook my head. No. She looked surprised. You don't. I don't hate you. After everything I did, I hated what you did. She lowered her eyes. What's the difference? The difference is that if I keep hating you, you still control a part of my life. She stayed quiet. I continued. I spent months thinking about what I lost. And now I think about what I gained. She looked confused. What did you gain from all this? I learned who I am without people like you. Her eyes filled with tears again. I never wanted to hurt you. I looked at her. But you did. I know. That's something you have to live with. She nodded slowly. I understand. A few minutes later, she stood. Can I ask one thing? What? Do you forgive me? I looked at her for a long moment. I forgive you because I don't want to carry this anymore. She smiled sadly. But forgiveness doesn't mean I forget. She nodded. I understand. After she left, I sat alone for a while. I expected to feel satisfaction. I expected revenge to feel powerful. Instead, I felt calm. That night, I found an envelope waiting outside my apartment door. My name was written on it. I already knew who it was from. Ryan. I opened the letter slowly. Ethan, I don't know if you will ever read this, but I needed to say what I should have said before. I was jealous of you for years. You had something I never had. People trusted you because you deserved it. I wanted your success without becoming the person you were. I convinced myself I was only taking an opportunity, but the truth is I betrayed the only person who believed in me. I don't expect forgiveness. I only hope one day you understand that I regret losing my friend. I read the letter twice. Then I folded it carefully. For years, Ryan had been my closest friend. But the person who wrote that letter was not the same person who destroyed my trust. Maybe regret had finally arrived. Maybe it hadn't. Either way, my future no longer depended on his apology. I placed Ryan's letter and Olivia's apology inside a drawer. Not as a reminder of pain, as proof that I had survived it. Months later, I stood in my office looking at the city outside my window. Daniel walked in. You look thoughtful. I was just remembering how different everything was. Do you miss the old days? I smiled. Some memories. Even after everything, the good moments were real. He nodded. And the bad ones? They taught me. Daniel smiled. That's a healthy answer. I looked around the office. I used to think revenge meant watching people suffer. And now I think revenge is becoming someone they can never hurt again. Daniel nodded. That's the best kind. I walked outside that evening as the sun began to disappear. For a long time, I believed my victory would come when Ryan and Olivia lost everything. But I was wrong. My greatest victory came when their actions no longer controlled my emotions. They lost their company. They lost their reputation. They lost the trust they once had. But I gained something much more valuable. I gained myself. I finally understood that karma did not need my help. Every lie they created eventually collapsed under its own weight. Every selfish choice brought its own consequence. I didn't need to destroy them because they had already destroyed the world they built with dishonesty. As I walked forward, I left the past behind me. I closed that chapter of my life forever. Not because I forgot what happened, because I no longer needed to remember it to know how far I had come.